section. We now move on to a 10:30 Saturday embargo. First, we'll go to Dan King.
Hi, Mikel.
Hi.
I know Patrick had departed for New York by the time you joined the City football group, but I wondered what kind of contact you had with him at all during that time, what you found his legacy at City was from what the work he'd done there, and also what how difficult it is, having been at a club like City with all that organisation and all those resources, how hard it is as a manager when you don't quite have the same resources at your disposal.
Well, when I joined there, he left, as you said, to one of the sister clubs, and he was given the opportunity in New York, obviously, because they knew what he was capable of doing, and people talk really highly of him. I met him a couple of times. I haven't spent a lot of time with him to tell you more information, but everything I heard about Patrick, whether it's here or when I was at City, always has been very, very positive.
But once when you've learned the trade of being a coach at a club like Manchester City, how hard is it when you learn all these different things, you learn ways of playing, how a club is run? How difficult is it to bring similar things into a club which doesn't have the same organisation and resources?
I think if you want to try to do the same thing in a different context, in a different moment, in a different club with different resources, is a big mistake. You have to analyze what is being done, what is working, what can be improved, and then try to implement a vision that is capable of being done and developed with the new ideas. And experiences are always really important to make certain decisions or to have clear ideas of how you want to do things. But that's it. After, you have to use as well instincts and the people around as well that are really important to get done what you want to do.
As you said before, the players these days, most of them don't have to go into management, but it's not like they need another career. It's a real choice. But when, like both you and Patrick, when you've been managed by someone like Arsene Wenger, who's been so successful, how difficult is that as well? I understand that you'll learn from someone like that, but also everyone's always going to be looking at you and comparing you to Wenger, much as people will compare ex-Man United players to Fergie.
It's I think you have no choice. You have the choice to say, no, I don't want to take that job because they're always going to compare with me. But if you love what you want to do, you feel capable of achieving what you think you can achieve for that club and what they're going to demand you to do on the role, then it's your decision to take it up. And I think we were all guided and in a way as well make or feel in a different way about the game because we had Arsene as a manager and he started the fire on us to be a coach, and not only on me or probably in Patrick, but in many others, with his way of treating everybody at the club and with how he felt about the game.
And just one more for me, if I may. I know your memory for individual games isn't great sometimes, but in fact you played against Viera, I think only once, and I think it was the last time he started a game. It was Goodison Park, May 2011, and you won 2-1. Can you remember anything of that? Did he lay one on you? Did you stick one on him?
No, I can't. I didn't even remember that was the last time that he played a game or we played against each other. Because I remember that we played at the Etihad against each other, but not at Goodison Park.
All right, okay. I'll look that one up instead then. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Dan.
Thanks, Dan. We'll go to Harry Pratt.
Mikel, good afternoon.
Hi.
Hiya. Mikel, we're talking a question about Patrick. When he left Arsenal in 2005, so you could actually trace it back now. Perhaps that was sort of a start of a cycle because Thierry Henry went 2 years later and then Cesc went 2 years later and then Robin van Persie. And he was sort of the first big name to depart. You talk about the amount of years' work that needs repairing in the whole setup of the club, and it's not just in the last few months or the last couple of years. Is it fair to look back that far? to when Patrick left?
I don't know. You're talking about some of the best players in the world in their own positions at the time, and to replace that, it's almost impossible. And the chemistry and the understanding that team had, and how long they worked together, it was impossible probably to maintain even that level, because there are all cycles in football. But obviously that was an era that started to disappear because as well some of the participants on that year left that they were so important to that success, and then a different one started.
I mean, Arsenal haven't won a Premier League title since Patrick Viera was at the club, and that was the last season, his last season. Is it going to be another 17 years, or can you, before you're really competing for titles again? I mean, it is, but the fans are going to look at that this weekend particularly, because it will remind them, won't it, that's how long ago it is.
Well, hopefully not. That's been a long, long time. We have a good example of Liverpool as well, how long they went without a Premier League title, and it's doable and it's achievable to do. So I'm always positive to think that there are ways to do it in a different way and still become and do what you are dreaming with.
Okay, and
Harry.
Sorry, it's actually, since we last spoke to you, though, in some ways it may have become harder even again because of Newcastle. You now have another club with significant funds that can enter that top 6-7 equation. I mean, it has changed the landscape, hasn't it, in the 2 weeks?
No, in the 2 weeks that when we are comparing that, what we were talking about 17 years ago, the competition that Arsenal had and where they were in terms of favourites to the league right now is the context is completely different. So it's very difficult to compare. And you are mentioning Newcastle now. It can be another candidate in the next few years, depending on the direction and the ambition that they show.
Okay, and last one from me. We were asked about Jack a little bit earlier, and is he, through no fault of his own, I'm not disrespecting him at all, is he a reminder to your great young players coming through that sometimes life doesn't always work the way it looks like it's going to when a player's 21? Because many of us thought he would be running the England midfield right now, and yet we see. I mean, is it a sort of a decent reminder to your young players?
I don't know. I think Jack spent a big part of his career at the club after coming through the academy, and he did it because he deserved to be, and he had the level and he had the consistency when his body allowed him to do it, to establish himself here. And football changes every day, and what you think is good today, tomorrow is not maybe that good because somebody else can do it even better than you, and you always have to be aware of that.
Can he be another Arsene Wenger coaching disciple? Because I know he's doing his badges, isn't he?
Well, he's very interested at the moment. He's trying to learn. He's trying to finalize his badges, and then it will be his decision to see what he wants to do.
But it could be another Arsene man, because we've got Kolo Touré over at Leicester as well, haven't we? So there's a few of you
he could be
emerging now.
For sure, he could be. It would be just down to him. I think he has everything that is needed to be the right coach, and it's just his willingness. He's got the time and the passion to do it.
Top
Thanks,
man.
Harry.
Good luck the weekend.